Chapter 12 of the Bay and Prince textbook is titled The Economics of Information. And its focus really is on when there is uncertainty about, when there's uncertainty facing consumers and business firms. The chapter goes through a review of the mean and variance from statistics, looks at uncertainty in consumer behavior, especially when consumers are risk averse. Looks at uncertainty in the business firm. Okay, and both of these, it includes search models and profit maximization conditions when there might be two states of the world. For example, if the business firm puts on outdoor concerts or other outdoor events, there is the chance of rain, and so you can do all of the profit maximization sort of modeling that we've done with expected values for demand. Okay, you might have a high demand if the weather is nice, and a lower demand if the weather is lousy. And if you can attach probabilities of those, for example, the probability of rain might be 40%, then you can weight the two demands, and then the analysis proceeds just like we've been doing. Okay, and then the chapter gets deeper into uncertainty and looks at problems of asymmetric information, things like adverse selection and moral hazard, and these are real important in healthcare markets and insurance. And then it discusses ways of resolving some of that uncertainty with signaling and screening. So that is about 15 pages that I recommend that you read. It's all good stuff, but in my opinion, we've run out of time, and I am going to focus just on the section of chapter 12 that looks at auctions. Okay, so the only learning objective for this chapter is to explain how differing auction rules and information structures impact the incentives in auctions and determine the optimal bidding strategies in different auctions. Okay, now, auctions are in the chapter on the economics of information because they are used a lot of times when the demand or the willingness to pay for a product is not well known. It might be that there's just one unit of the product, like a piece of real estate, and the seller wants to make as much money from that one item as possible. Okay, so a way to do that is with auctions. Okay, so just a definition, auction is a market mechanism where potential buyers are competing for the good or service. Okay, sellers offer an item for sale and want the highest price, and then buyers are trying to get the item at the lowest possible price. Okay, there's a lot of examples of where auctions are used in market economies. I've already mentioned real estate. Okay, auctions are used by the federal government to allocate mineral rights. Okay, construction contracts are put up for the lowest bid. Okay, agricultural products are auctioned. There's used car auctions. Okay, when the U.S. government runs a budget deficit, it sells government bonds. Okay, and the way that it sells those bonds is with a uniform price auction. Okay, and government procurement contracts are allocated by auction, and pollution permits are allocated by auction. So the graphic to the right, this is from the EPA's website. Okay, this is a summary of the year 2000 sulfur dioxide allowance auction. So sulfur dioxide is the pollution that creates acid rain. And so with the 1990 Clean Air Act amendments, the federal government established a cap and trade program, or tradable pollution permit program, for SO2. And they would sell these permits. They distributed a lot of permits freely, and then power plants could buy and sell those on an open market. And they also auctioned some of those. Okay, so you can see the EPA was going to sell about 125,000 new permits. Business firms that had already purchased these allowances or these permits added about another 5,000 to the auction. And then there were 85 bidders, and 51 were successful in that their bid was high enough that they were able to buy some of these permits. You can see the clearing price was $126 per ton of SO2 in the atmosphere. Okay, the highest bid was $250 and the lowest bid was $80. So there was 34 unsuccessful bidders. Okay, so that's an interesting application of auctions, and we'll talk more about that in Module B, Part 6, later on in this lecture.